Burned. A Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction, Part 11. Today's theme is Eiffel Tower. If you've not heard the previous 10 parts of this story, you can find a link to them in the description box below. If you haven't already, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and comment down below in support of more fanfiction. Now then, let's get burned. Cat Noir hung in the breeze, strapped in tight by Ladybug's yo-yo. Had she forgotten about him? They were fighting the headliner, and he took a tumble off the Eiffel Tower, saved by a string. He didn't know what was going on up there, but he'd already used his cataclysm. There were onlookers, of course, with their phones out instead of running to safety. They called themselves hardcore fans, but they made his job harder. His ring beeped, reminding him he had a minute left, and he gave another shout to alert Ladybug. He didn't want to distract her, but his identity was literally hanging by a thread. He felt a tug around his chest and went flying up, staggering his landing as she brought her yo-yo back to her. "Miraculous Ladybug!" she exclaimed, sending a flash of light across his sightline. He instinctively reached out a hand so she could help him up, smiling to himself as they brushed knuckles in their end-of-the-fight ritual. "You were right," Ladybug said. "Sharpie." "Never underestimate a fangirl," Cat said, shrugging. "Called it. This was his fault." "Any plans for the day?" Was she continuing the conversation? With what little time he had left? "Not anymore. I spent my time with you instead." She rolled her eyes and looped her yo-yo above them. "Hang on a minute, will ya? I'd like to catch up." Ladybug? Staying after a fight? He wasn't about to complain, but that was unusual. She whisked away in the nick of time, leaving him as an unusually pink Adrian Agreste. He ignored Plag's commentary as they shared a snack and called up to see whether she was still there. Ladybug wouldn't ditch him, right? He hadn't seen anyone leave yet either. "You okay up there?" he said, hoping the wind wouldn't carry away the question. "Yeah. Safe to come down?" "Yep." His heart raced at the idea. Any time he spent with her was, well, lovely. She pounced down and walked to the edge, sitting down and patting the spot beside her as an invitation for him to join her. To his surprise, she put her head on his shoulder when he sat down. "Ladybug? Can I tell you something that might lower your spirits?" she asked. He could feel his heart sinking already. "What did I do?" "Not you. It's something that happened in my life." He tried to straighten his back, then realized he would disturb her place on his shoulder. "Go ahead then." "I went on a date with this guy recently." Oh, that's what she meant. It felt like he'd gotten shot. "And? Was it any good?" "It felt very unnatural." "Really? Do you want to talk about it?" "I don't know. I'm jumbled from it." "Do you want advice, or do you just want me to listen for a bit?" She hesitated. "I'm not sure. Maybe just listen? Because if you start asking questions, I might tell you more than I mean to." "All right. How about we start with how it made you feel?" She looked up at him and gave him a small, thanking smile. It just about cracked his heart, and he had to turn away for a moment to regain his bearings. "It should have been pleasant, but I had a sinking feeling the whole time." "Because?" "I wasn't sure if he would ever like me for me." He was stunned by her answer. She was an incredible person. What was there not to like? Sure, she was brash and jumped to conclusions quickly, but there was so much else that would only enamor another person. What do you mean? You know how the media is going on and on about our true selves? Like, is the person under the mask more authentic than who they are when they wear it? I couldn't stop thinking about that, because the only person who really knows Ladybug as well, me, instead of an idol, is you. And Master Fu. But still, it'd be different if someone got to know me as Ladybug and then started learning about my civilian life. But the other way? I fear it would stop the relationship from progressing. I mean, I'm not all that incredible by myself, but I'm still an idol to 9-year-olds. And mine. Huh? You're my idol too, just not in the same way. She chuckled at his comment, knowing it was a compliment and not blind, worshipping praise. Thanks, Cat, she said, linking her elbow around his. She didn't continue, leaving him to observe Paris while resting his head on hers. It was comfortable, but not in a physical sense. They trusted the other in a way that he'd never trusted anyone before, and probably never would again. He didn't want to jeopardize this. He couldn't, even if it meant swallowing his want to be more than what they'd already become. He'd be fine staying like this with her. He'd have to be, even if the flame he carried in his heart burned him. Thank you so much for listening. Part 12 is on its way. In the meantime, you can check out these other videos for more fanfiction. I'll catch you next time.